everyone, and welcome to On Campus Cam, a monthly show where we give college journalists a chance to sound off on topics affecting their campus. I'm your host, Marius Payton. Joining us today via Campus Cam from the University of Utah, we got Matt Coma. Matt, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
And he's also the co-host of Newsbreak on campus. We also have from Provo, Robbie Bulow from BYU TV. Robbie, thanks for joining us.
No problem, Marius.
In studio today, we have Mike Morris from the University of Wyoming. He's the Cowboys beat writer for the Branding Iron. My man, Mike, thanks.
Hey, it's always a pleasure.
And from Colorado State, we have Ryan Hilbig. He's the sports director from 90.5 KCSU Fort Collins. Now that everyone's been introduced, thank you, my man. Let's get to the show.
And Jarrett, 2-0. Lindley stands in there and connects. A new guy to catch the ball, and it's a big-time pickup.
Pump fake Dalton. Home run ball. Hicks is behind the D.
Umulo, the tight end this time.
Inside the 20. It's a foot race. Touchdown.
All right, we are through week 8 of college football season, and 2 teams from the Mountain West are ranked within the top 25 of the BCS standings. TCU at number 6 after stomping BYU. Robbie, we're going to get to that in a second. And Utah, who is currently 16. So, Matt, let's start with you. Your Utes talk about their game with Air Force last week. It wasn't the prettiest win, but it was a win nonetheless.
Yeah, that's true. It was just a shaky performance by the Utah offense, going last 5 drives, going 3 and out. It was just one of those games. Coach William called it just a close win, an ugly win. What he wanted to talk about was that just the offense couldn't get anything going, and that the defense was the key part to this game.
Now, Eddie White went down with an ankle injury, but he returned and ended up scoring the winning touchdown in overtime. What's the status on him?
Well, they diagnosed it as a high ankle sprain. He did come back in the second half, and everyone was really pleased. He came out during halftime, ran down the field every now and then. Coach Williams said he's good to go. It shouldn't be any problem from here on out.
Now, the Utes had a lot of problems holding on to the ball in that game. Any reason? Did Coach Witt address that in the post-game press conference?
He did. He said that ball security is a big problem that the Utah offense has. It's something that they're needing to work on coming into this weekend's game with Wyoming and down the stretch. It's just something, the thing with the Utah offense, I've seen through the 3 years that I've been here, it's always been the Utah offense seems to get better as the year goes on. And that it just keeps progressing, and by the end of the season, it's a power to be reckoned with.
All right, Mike, let's talk Wyoming Cowboys. They will visit Utah coming up next week. You had a chance to watch that game. What do you think?
Well, you know, I'm not Lou Holtz. I'm lacking that national championship ring, and every other word out of my mouth is not about Notre Dame. But I do have some words of motivation for Wyoming. This team was absolutely embarrassed 2 years ago when they went up to Salt Lake City. And there are a number of proud players with this program who've not since forgotten that loss. I think you're going to get a very motivated Wyoming team up in Salt Lake City this weekend. And I think that combination of the motivated, inspired Cowboy team and a very stalwart defense gives Wyoming a chance to hang with Utah.
Now, Austin Carter-Samuels faced a defense in Air Force that he hadn't seen before, probably the best defense he'd seen. He comes in to face Utah again, another top defense. How do you think the week off has helped this team?
Well, I think Austin's certainly had time to go over, his mistakes, and Wyoming's made some personnel changes on that offensive line to try and protect him a little bit more. He was sacked 6 times against Air Force. They need to give him a little bit more time to throw and scramble outside of the pocket. He throws very well on the run. He's good with making plays on his feet. But certainly this offense isn't going to function if they can't establish a consistent run game and they can't protect the quarterback. So
it's going to be interesting to see how he bounces back from a loss. Well, CSU, they have hit the skids as of late, losing their last 5 after starting 3-0. Now, on our first show, Ryan had this to say.
If you're a Utah, TCU, or BYU fan, you should be cheering for the Rams this weekend, because if there's any team in the Mountain West that has a chance to crack the top 25 other than the U3, it's Colorado State, and you want your strength of schedule to go up. So cheer for the Rams.
My man had a big old crow sandwich for lunch today, huh?
Yeah, I've been eating a lot of crow lately. Man, I don't know what's happening to this team. Apparently that Idaho team's a lot better than everybody thought. I mean, who would have thunk that?
I mean, they had the tough schedule coming in. They had Idaho, TCU, BYU, Utah. San Diego State came to town, and they looked sharp.
They looked really good. I was really surprised. Well, I mean, everybody knows Ryan Lindley's a great quarterback. He went out, had a career day. But the CSU defense, man, they just they looked so good in the first half, and then they forgot how to play in the second half. I don't know what it was. They did not stop San Diego State on a third down attempt the entire second half. San Diego State did whatever they wanted. I don't know if I think Colorado State, they have some trouble with depth on that defensive front, and especially in the linebackers. They lost Kowalik, lost a couple other guys to that linebacking core, so they're really struggling. It's just been it's one of those things. I had such high expectations, you know, after coming off those real tough games. They played Utah well. They played pretty decent in that tough stretch, but I thought they were gonna win out the rest of the way, and you know, we'd be looking at a 8-4 CSU Rams team going to a bowl game, but yeah, it's not going to happen anymore.
Hey, maybe you guys can recruit the balloon boy. I heard he's the most elusive guy to kind of Fort Collins.
He's pretty hard to catch, so I think
Get him to play a little offense.
Yeah, we could put him in the backfield, and
they got to do something. Well, Robbie, we haven't forgotten about you, even though you would like to forget about what went down in Provo last Saturday. Start off by telling us what the atmosphere was like when game day was on hand.
Oh, college game day was amazing. It was so fun. Dark, you know, when they started, yet there were still so many people there, and a lot of tents, people camping out. It was great because it was their first time there in Provo. We talked to the producer after, and he said, our favorite place to go is anywhere where we're going for the first time. And so they loved Provo. I talked to Kirk Herbstreit, Chris Fowler as well afterwards, and they'd been to Provo before, but they said the game day atmosphere was just great. Lavelle Edwards was told that it was one of the rowdiest crowds they'd ever had. So prior to the game, you know, the atmosphere was pretty good there in Provo.
Well, let's get to the part of the day that wasn't so good, and that's the game. Did you think that was going to, you know, that it was going to happen again to the Cougars, or did you think BYU had a chance to pull this one out?
I thought everything looked great. The Monday press conference, Bronco Mendenhall and the team, they felt like they were ready, that they learned a lot from last year, they were more prepared, but what we saw on Saturday was an incredible TCU team. We saw 6th-ranked defense against the 11th-ranked offense, and the defense just absolutely dominated. BYU just had no answer, and TCU had every answer for BYU's offense.
So was it more or less of what TCU did right or what BYU did wrong?
I think it's absolutely what TCU did right. I mean, obviously, I don't want to look and see maybe what BYU's problems were, but I saw usually, you know, you're going to have a team that's either going to cover or they're going to bring pressure on the quarterback, and TCU was able to do both things. They pressured Max Hall, sacked him 5 times, and when he did have a chance to stay there in the pocket, he had no one to throw to. The coverage was so great. This was an incredible TCU defense.
After the game, Max Hall said they were just a better team. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. I think they were definitely a better team. I thought BYU had a good chance when they got the 3-and-out at the beginning of the game because that's what they couldn't do against Florida State earlier in the year. But BYU could just never get their offense going, and eventually TCU just wore them down, and BYU's defense then also couldn't stop Andy Dalton in that offense.